I've got a lot of road rage, and what I mean by that is I have a lot of rage about the way roads are engineered. I'm a road geek. What fascinates me about roads is not driving on them or what's happened along them. It's really the political reasons behind why they are where they are, and more importantly, why they aren't where they aren't. Specifically, why they end where they do. I personally don't have the autism necessary to be the encyclopedia of road anomalies. There's a ridiculous number of forums and links and awesome shit that I'm going to put in the description that you can look into if you want to know more about this weird shit, but I'm just going to go over a couple things that are specifically pissing me off. Every road geek knows the word Breezewood. Breezewood, Pennsylvania is an abomination of highway design. It epitomizes bureaucracy and government inefficiency at its finest. Breezewood is one of those things that you tell people about where they have to drive through it and they go, what? 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 So in Breezewood, Pennsylvania, I-70, Interstate 70, which runs east-west, joins the Pennsylvania Turnpike main line at almost like a 45-degree, 90-degree, whatever. They join in Breezewood, except there's not a normal freeway connection. I mean, there's an exit off the turnpike for I-70, but if you try to follow it, you'll be dumped out onto the main street in Breezewood, along with a lot of businesses and a bunch of traffic lights. And you have to jog down the road a little bit, get on another exit ramp, and then get back on. I mean, traffic literally has to come to a stop, jog down a couple streets, get back on another ramp, and then start accelerating again. As you can imagine, during a busy day, this backs up, and people waste time, frustrations get high, emissions get high, and businesses get rich. There's a lot of businesses along those stretch, there's a lot of gas stations, as you can imagine. Just like the exit to the Holland Tunnel where I-78 stops at a couple traffic lights, businesses thrive on the ability to just set up right next to what essentially is an interstate pipeline. I mean, the road's not technically an interstate, it's technically just US 30, but everyone that's traveling west on I-70 is going to stop there. If you have a GPS and you're plotting a trip anywhere in western Pennsylvania, it's going to have you go through Breezewood. I mean, there's not like a cute Google Maps way of not having to go through there, other than avoiding the turnpike and I-70. To make matters worse, after this was built, this monstrosity, the turnpike had to be realigned. And rather than fixing it, they made it worse. You actually have to drive under the road. You literally get off, come to a stop, make a left, make another left at a traffic light, and you drive under the highway you had gotten off of, and then you're back on the road. You literally drive under it. Like, they couldn't just make a connection there. Like, why is there not just they could just put like an 800-foot ramp there, a 1,000-foot ramp. Anything would be better than the pair of traffic lights and the people that get off and now they have to go to the bathroom, so they're going to McDonald's, and now you have to have McDonald's cross traffic and Perkins and the people that are eating, and oh my god, why is that on an interstate highway? What kind of fucking ridiculous bureaucracy caused this shit to happen? Well, even though the Turnpike and I-70 head off into different locations, I-70 is free, and it's an alternative to the Turnpike. So the PA Turnpike Commission is certainly not going to pay, at least in, you know, the era this was built, for a free alternate to the Turnpike. If the Pennsylvania Turnpike is going to build an exit, it's going to serve Breezewood, and not those shunpikers, as road geeks call them, people that get off just not to have to pay on the Turnpike, which is, you know, I don't know, it's a thing. And the Federal Highway Administration, or whatever they were called at the time, decides, well, we're not going to spend any, you know, federal highway funds that are going to the defense, the interstate defense highway system. We're not going to spend funds on making a connector to Pennsylvania's private, you know, enterprise unless it goes someplace else. So we're going to build an exit to Route 30 as well. We're not going to build an exit for that, you know, that enterprising private thing. The interstate highway system was our response to Germany's Autobahn during World War II. The highway system is our defense to transport goods for the defense of the nation, not to make 17 businesses on US 30 in Breezewood rich. This is just happenstance. They just are opportunistics that set up shop there because, you know, they can. Part of what frustrates me is that it's obviously easy here for the Pennsylvania Turnpike Commission to build a ramp. The bureaucratic feelings and the inefficiency of the 50s, 60s, 70s is no longer today. Today, there would have been a ramp there, undoubtedly. So why doesn't the Pennsylvania Turnpike Commission just build one? They own the right-of-way. There's no zoning that has to happen. There's enough room. It's very straightforward where a ramp would go. You'd put one here and you'd put one here. And, you know, it would be slow, but it would be a hell of a lot faster than going through Breezewood. Emissions would go down. Pollution would go down. The environment would have a positive net benefit. Drivers' frustrations, travel times, congestion would be better. And people can still exit if they want to go to Perkins. They can still get off the fucking exit. There'd still be 2 or 3 lanes going right into the fucking middle of Breezewood because that's what they built. So it's not like these businesses are losing out. So why won't we build a fucking ramp there? Vehicular counts on arterial roadways are on the rise. We need more capacity, not less. What the fuck are you doing? People cite it's because the businesses would lose money. Of course they'd lose money. They shouldn't be there in the first fucking... I-95 in New Jersey is a shit show, and it's also because of bullshit like this. Later this year, some guy's just looking at me. Later this year, a huge stretch of what was 95 is going to become technically I-295, and a lot of people are going to be confused about this, so let's explain it now. I-95 was supposed to go down the middle of New Jersey like a fucking seatbelt. What actually happened was that the folks in Ewing Township are losers and they complained and they didn't want a highway there. So they pretty much held up a fight, a successful fight. 95 was supposed to parallel US 1, which today is a 6-lane highway, struggling to handle the capacity coming from the New Brunswick area and points north and northwest of New Jersey down into Philadelphia. Routes along 206, 31, 29, they're all fucking struggling because there's no 95 and there's no direct connection. 95 enters New Jersey along the New Jersey Turnpike, and for years, it just disappeared at exit 10. Exit 10 is where I-287, which is a beltway around New York, goes. I-287 was also intended to carry 95 to the west, where it would head from Piscataway southwest to Ewing. This was never built, and New Jersey took the federal funds for this and built 195 instead. What this means is that 287 got lengthened, exit numbers had to be changed. I-95 mysteriously ended at exit 10 for years and just began in the middle of nowhere. There's ghost ramps where 95 should continue to the north but doesn't, so it kind of heads to the east and very, very chalantly, is that the opposite of nonchalantly? Very chalantly turns into 295 abruptly. 95 north turns into 295 south at this mysterious, just random, arbitrary point in New Jersey. And it confuses people. People would follow the New Jersey Turnpike into Delaware and be like, where the fuck is Philadelphia? Only to realize that they lost 95 when it silently disappeared back at exit 10. For the last several decades, New Jersey has tried to fill in the gap by signing to 95, TO95, along the turnpike, down exit 6 and over to the Pennsylvania Turnpike to get to Philadelphia that way. However, that's an even bigger problem because, as we discussed, Pennsylvania's fucking nuts. 95 just crosses right over 276, the Pennsylvania Turnpike. There's no connection for the same reasons there wasn't a connection in Breezewood. Bullshit bureaucracy. If there had just been a connection here, this could have been 95 or 295 or whatever, but there hadn't been a connection here. People on 95 that was built that want to get on the turnpike have to follow Route 1 and all kinds of weird local roads. People on 95 in New Jersey that want to get on the other part of 95 have to follow 295 or 195. And people that actually need to travel along the corridor where 95 should have been built, the people that actually are missing out because there isn't a highway there, they have to travel along Route 1 and parts of 295 and parts of other roads, and it's bullshit. Later this year, Pennsylvania is opening the ramps that should have been built years and years ago, and they're going to make this part of the Road 95. There's lots of blank gaps in the signage where there's going to be a 95, and this whole section of 95 that was built that should be 95 is going to be 295. And this makes a lot of more complications than questions. 295 doesn't go in a single direction. It's kind of like a U-shape. So are we going to sign it north and then west and then south again, or is it just going to go from being north to south on the Pennsylvania border, or is it really really just going to stay north the entire time, even though it's heading cardinal south. I mean, there's going to have to be some weird awkward point anyway. There is today, and that weird awkward point is going to get removed. It's bullshit, you know? How about you just build the fucking road that was missing? Why don't you just build the section that should have been there in the first place, and you wouldn't have all these weird problems?